Are we the aliens? It sounds like a strange question. When we imagine alien life reaching Earth, we usually imagine something arriving from the sky. A massive ship appears above the clouds. A door opens. Strange beings step onto the surface. Humanity looks up and realizes that we were never alone. But that story assumes aliens would arrive after us. It assumes they would come here as intelligent creatures, inside machines we could recognize at a moment when someone was alive to see them. But what if alien life reached Earth long before humans existed? Before animals? Before plants? Before there was anything here capable of looking up at the sky? What if it did not arrive inside a spacecraft? What if it arrived inside a rock? Not as an advanced civilization, not as a creature with eyes, hands, or a voice, but as something microscopic. A dormant cell, a primitive organism, or a collection of alien molecules carrying the chemistry needed to begin life. And what if every living thing on Earth came from it? Every forest, every animal, every person, every cell inside your body. What if life did not begin on Earth? What if it arrived here? There is currently no confirmed evidence that extraterrestrial life seeded our planet. No verified alien microorganism has ever been discovered. No biological object has been proven to have originated outside Earth. And no message has been found inside our DNA showing that another civilization created us. But there is a real scientific hypothesis that asks whether life, or the ingredients required to produce life, may have traveled to Earth from somewhere else. It is called panspermia, and unlike stories about hidden alien civilizations or ancient visitors building human monuments, panspermia does not require aliens to look anything like us. It does not claim that human beings were dropped onto Earth fully formed. Humans would still have evolved here. Animals would still have evolved here. Life would still have changed over billions of years through mutation, natural selection, extinction, survival, and chance. The only thing panspermia changes is the location of the first chapter. Instead of life beginning on Earth, the earliest seed may have arrived from somewhere else. To understand why anyone takes this possibility seriously, we first have to face something that science still cannot fully explain. We understand a great deal about how life evolves. Once an organism can reproduce, pass information to the next generation, and produce small variations, evolution can begin changing it over enormous amounts of time. Simple life can become more diverse and more complex. But evolution only works after something is already alive. It does not tell us exactly how the first living system appeared. At some point in the distant past, chemistry crossed a boundary. Non-living molecules became part of a system capable of maintaining itself, storing information, using energy, and reproducing. We do not know exactly how that happened. There are promising ideas. Scientists study self-replicating molecules, hydrothermal vents, mineral surfaces, shallow pools, volcanic environments, and a possible period when RNA performed jobs now divided between DNA and proteins. But no one has reconstructed the complete path from ordinary chemistry to the first true living organism. And whatever happened, it happened extremely early. Earth formed roughly 4.5 billion years ago. The early planet was violent. It was struck by enormous objects. Its surface changed constantly. Its atmosphere was different. Its oceans were still forming. Yet the history shared by all living cells appears to reach incredibly far back into that early period. Every known organism uses related biological machinery. Life stores information using DNA. It translates genetic information using RNA. It builds proteins from a familiar set of amino acids. It uses ATP as a major source of cellular energy. Bacteria, trees, insects, whales, and humans may look completely different. But deep inside their cells, they speak versions of the same ancient chemical language. That suggests that all known cellular life shares common ancestry. Scientists call the deepest shared ancestral population LUCA, the last universal common ancestor. LUCA was not necessarily the first living thing. It was the ancestral population from which all surviving cellular life descended. There may have been other forms of early life that disappeared without leaving living descendants. Recent genetic research has estimated that LUCA may have existed around 4.2 billion years ago, although reconstructing something that ancient involves significant uncertainty. If that estimate is close, life established itself surprisingly early in Earth's history. That does not prove life came from space. Life may simply emerge quickly when conditions are right, but it creates a difficult question. Did Earth produce life unusually fast, or did some part of the process begin before the material reached Earth? For a long time, space was imagined as chemically empty, cold, dark, and sterile, a place where life's chemistry would be destroyed before it could begin. But the more closely we examine asteroids, comets, meteorites, and clouds of material between stars, the less empty they appear. Carbon-rich meteorites have been found to contain organic compounds. And in science, organic does not automatically mean living. It means the molecules are built around carbon chemistry. These molecules can form without cells, animals, plants, or intelligent beings. But some of them are connected to the chemistry life uses. NASA's OSIRIS-REx mission returned pristine material from the asteroid Bennu. Scientists examining those samples found amino acids, including many of the amino acids used by life on Earth. They also identified all 5 nucleobases used in DNA and RNA. Those discoveries do not mean Bennu was alive. There is no evidence that the asteroid contained organisms, but they show that important pieces of biological chemistry can form away from Earth. The universe is capable of manufacturing parts of the recipe. Asteroids and comets may then carry those parts between worlds. This leads to the mildest version of panspermia. Maybe life itself did not arrive from space. Maybe space delivered some of the ingredients. Young Earth was struck repeatedly by asteroids, meteorites, and comets. Those objects may have added water and carbon-rich molecules to the planet's developing environment. Life could still have begun entirely on Earth, while using raw materials that formed somewhere else. In that sense, we would not be alien organisms, but part of the chemistry inside us could be older than Earth. Some of the carbon, nitrogen, water, and organic molecules that eventually became part of life may have traveled through space before our planet was fully formed. But there is a more extreme version of the idea. What if actual organisms traveled between planets? This is called lithopanspermia. Litho refers to rock. The idea begins with a planet that already contains microbial life. An asteroid strikes its surface with enormous force. The impact throws pieces of the planet into space. Inside one of those pieces are microscopic organisms. The rock escapes the planet's gravity and begins traveling through the solar system. For thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of years, it drifts through darkness. Eventually, its path crosses another planet. It enters the atmosphere. It crashes onto the surface. The rock breaks open, and somewhere inside it, something is still alive. For lithopanspermia to work, an organism must survive several disasters in a row. First, it must survive the original impact. Then it must survive being accelerated violently enough to escape a planet. It must survive freezing temperatures, dehydration, vacuum, ultraviolet light, and cosmic radiation. It may have to remain dormant for an extraordinary amount of time. Then it must survive atmospheric entry and another impact. And even after all of that, it must land in a place where it can reproduce. Most organisms would fail almost immediately. A human would not survive. An animal would not survive. A plant would not survive. Even most exposed microorganisms would be destroyed. But life on Earth has repeatedly shown that it can survive conditions that seem impossible. Some microorganisms live inside rocks. Some survive beneath deserts. Some endure intense cold, extreme dryness, high pressure, acidic water, radiation, and years without normal metabolic activity. One bacterium, Deinococcus radiodurans, is famous for surviving enormous damage to its DNA and repairing itself afterward. During Japan's Tanpopo experiment, dried clusters of Deinococcus bacteria were placed outside the International Space Station. Some protected clusters remained alive after 3 years of exposure to space. The outer cells died, but they helped shield cells deeper inside the cluster. In 2026, another experiment found that Deinococcus radiodurans could also survive brief pressures, similar to some of the forces material might experience while being blasted away from Mars by an impact. None of this proves that life ever traveled from one planet to another. An experiment lasting 3 years is not the same as a journey lasting millions of years. Surviving one stage does not guarantee survival through the entire process, but the experiments change the question. The question is no longer whether every organism would die in space. Most would. The question is whether a tiny number of unusually resistant organisms, buried deeply enough inside the right material, could survive by chance. And within our solar system, there is one possible origin that is more scientifically interesting than almost any other: our neighbor Mars. Today, Mars appears cold, dry, irradiated, and hostile. Its atmosphere is thin. Liquid water cannot remain stable across most of its surface for long. But ancient Mars was different. Spacecraft have found valleys, deltas, lake beds, sedimentary rocks, and minerals that formed in the presence of water. Billions of years ago, rivers flowed across parts of Mars. Lakes filled craters. Groundwater moved beneath the surface. There may have been environments where microbial life could survive. We do not know whether Martian life ever existed. No confirmed organism or fossil has been found there. But we know something important. Pieces of Mars have reached Earth. We have identified meteorites on Earth that were blasted away from Mars by ancient impacts. Their chemistry and trapped gases connect them to the Martian surface and atmosphere. That means the journey is physically possible. Rocks can move from Mars to Earth. Some of those rocks also avoided being heated enough to sterilize every part of their interiors. So imagine early Mars. The planet has water. It has volcanic energy. It has minerals and organic chemistry. Somewhere beneath the surface, simple life emerges. Then a large object strikes. Fragments of Mars are launched into space. One contains protected microorganisms. After traveling through the solar system, it falls onto the young Earth. It lands near water. The organisms survive, they reproduce, they spread, and over the next 4 billion years, their descendants transform the planet. If that happened, life on Earth would be Martian life. Not just humans, everything. The bacteria in the soil, the grass beneath your feet, the birds above you, every extinct dinosaur. Every organism that ever lived would belong to the same relocated biological family. We would look at Mars as an alien planet without realizing that it may have been our first home. This possibility is fascinating, but it creates another problem. Even if life came from Mars, where did life on Mars come from? Panspermia can move life from one world to another. It does not automatically explain how life began. Maybe life emerged naturally on Mars. Maybe Mars was seeded by another planet. Maybe that planet was seeded by another. The chain can continue, but eventually something still has to explain the first transition from non-living chemistry to life. Unless life has somehow existed forever, panspermia moves the mystery. It does not remove it. There is also another version of panspermia that is much more speculative. What if the arrival was intentional? In 1973, Francis Crick and Leslie Orgel published a paper exploring what they called directed panspermia. Crick was one of the scientists associated with discovering the structure of DNA. He and Orgel considered whether an advanced civilization could deliberately send microorganisms to young planets. Imagine a civilization that knows it is going to disappear. Its star is becoming unstable. Its planet is losing its atmosphere. A war is approaching. Or the civilization simply understands that no species survives forever. It cannot save every individual. It may not even be able to save itself, but it can preserve life. It builds small automated spacecraft. Inside them, it places microorganisms chosen for their resilience. Perhaps it also includes instructions. The craft are sent toward thousands or millions of potentially habitable worlds. Most miss their targets. Some are destroyed. Some reach dead planets. But one eventually reaches Earth. The spacecraft releases its biological cargo. The original civilization disappears long before complex life evolves here. Its language is forgotten. Its world is destroyed. Its machines decay, but the life it sent continues. Billions of years later, that life evolves into a species capable of asking where it came from. Directed panspermia is logically possible. Human beings already store seeds, cells, embryos, and genetic information to protect them from disasters. We send robotic machines to other planets. Future humans may one day consider carrying microorganisms to lifeless environments, but there is no evidence that another civilization did this to Earth. DNA is complex, but complexity is not proof of engineering. The shared genetic code is evidence that known life has common ancestry, not evidence that someone designed it. No verified artificial message has been discovered inside the human genome. No ancient biological container has been found. No alien machine has been confirmed. Directed panspermia remains a possibility without direct supporting evidence. And a civilization advanced enough to seed Earth would still require an origin of its own. Who created its life? Did it emerge naturally? Was its planet also seeded? Was every living world created by an older living world? This leads to a strange image of the universe. Life may not repeatedly begin from nothing on isolated planets. It may spread. One world gives life to another. That world eventually gives life to several more. Over billions of years, biology moves across space like a fire passing from one candle to the next. Each flame looks separate, but all of them may trace back to a much older source. Could life have come from another universe? That idea moves beyond what current science can meaningfully test. We have no confirmed way for organisms, rocks, or biological information to travel between universes. There are cosmological ideas involving multiple universes, but no evidence currently connects them to the origin of terrestrial life. For now, planets within our own solar system offer a far more testable version of the mystery, and Mars may eventually provide the most important clue. Suppose we discover ancient Martian life. If it uses DNA, RNA, the same genetic code, the same amino acids, and similar cellular machinery, it could suggest that Earth and Mars exchange life. But even then, the direction would be difficult to determine. Mars may have seeded Earth, Earth may have seeded Mars, or both could share an even older source. Now imagine that Martian life is completely different. It stores information using another molecule. It builds proteins from different components. It has no clear relationship to anything on Earth. That would suggest that life began independently at least twice within one solar system. And if life emerged twice so close together, it might be common throughout the universe. Either discovery would change our understanding of life. Shared biology would suggest that life can travel between worlds. Independent biology would suggest that life can begin more than once. At the moment, we do not know which universe we live in. A universe where life is extraordinarily rare and survives by spreading from planet to planet. or a universe where life begins almost everywhere, the conditions allow it. Maybe life began in an ocean on Earth. Maybe its ingredients fell from asteroids. Maybe a cell arrived inside a fragment of Mars. Maybe an ancient civilization sent it here intentionally. The evidence does not currently allow us to choose, but panspermia changes the way we think about aliens. We normally imagine alien life as something separate from us, something waiting on another planet, something we might discover through a telescope, beneath an icy moon, or inside a sample returned from Mars. But alien does not necessarily mean intelligent. It does not mean human-shaped. It does not even mean complex. The first alien to reach Earth may have been a single cell, and if that cell became the ancestor of everything alive today, then the alien did not remain alien for long. It became the oceans filled with microorganisms. It became the first photosynthetic life. It became complex cells. It became animals. It became forests. It became us. There is no proof that this happened. Earth may be the true birthplace of every organism we have ever known, but the materials inside life are part of a universe much older than our planet. The atoms inside your body were created before Earth existed. Some were forged inside ancient stars. Some traveled through explosions, dust clouds, asteroids, oceans, cells, and generations before becoming part of you. So even if life began here, it was built from a universe that did not. And if life began somewhere else, then humanity is not waiting for the day aliens finally arrive. We are waiting to discover that they arrived billions of years ago, not above us, not beneath us, but inside the history of every living cell. Maybe we are not the first intelligent beings to carry life between worlds. Maybe we are only the next, and maybe the real question is not whether aliens came to Earth. Maybe the real question is whether anything on Earth was ever truly from here.